I'm munching on something. This time it's an apple. I have been practicing my Polish. Placki, there are so many consonants in Polish without any vowels. It's hard for Americans, I guess, to pronounce. But we have a great guest today. His name is Jack Sekowski. He is a chef. He's a graduate of AFI, which is American Film Institute. He's a screenwriter. He does food porn. I think I got that right. And we're going to be making, well, it's a long, he's going to tell us what it is, but it's in English. It's pancakes and apples. Should be a delicious dish. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Mark Alyn. Welcome to Mark Alyn Cooks Your Dinner. We're going to go to the great city of Palmdale, California, which is about 60 miles north of Los Angeles, and we're going to visit with our new friend, Jack Sekowski. Chef Jack, we'll call him. Hello, Chef Jack.
Hello, Mark.
How are you?
Doing fantastic. Beautiful
Good.
day in Palmdale.
Well, we're both drinking Cosmos.
Yes, very fine Cosmos.
Which are not necessarily Polish, but we both used a Polish potato vodka. And I like potato vodkas because they're smoother to me than many of the wheat vodkas. How about you?
I totally agree. They have a different texture to it. I mean, in terms of actual taste, vodkas don't have a lot of complexity, but it's the way the vodka flows over your tongue, the smoothness, the coolness, like drinking molten ice. And the smoother it is, the more pleasurable it is.
Do you keep your vodka in the freezer or not?
Always, 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 always.
And what about your
It's
tequila?
always ready.
Yeah. Tequila? Do you keep your tequila in the freezer?
I'm not really a tequila drinker. I sort of like it. I have found some tequilas that I enjoy, but it's sort of, it hasn't become a part of my consciousness.
It's interesting. Some people like it in the freezer and other people don't. I like vodka. I always keep my vodka in the freezer. We had a family member who kept his vodka, refused to keep it in the freezer and put it, in the on a shelf. And it was, you had to use twice as much ice. And
Yes.
then it waters down, but hey, that's okay.
Are you still in connection with them, or do you still
No.
talk? Do you
No.
inherit them?
Yes. But it's okay. Everybody has a right to do what they want. And as you're watching today, give us your comments. Let us know what you think about what we're making. And if you have an idea, say, hey, why aren't you using cinnamon or nutmeg with the apples? Ask us why. Jack will answer. And if you have any questions at all, let us know. We're going to be here for the next half hour or so. We're going to be making, Jack, I've been trying. Trust me, every night before I go to bed, I have been visualizing this. It doesn't work. So how do we pronounce this?
So it's apple pancakes, and in Polish it's Placki is Jabłkami.
Yeah, sure it is.
Is Jabłkami.
Say it again.
I know they're not very fond of vowels. I totally get it. So a lot of double consonants galore.
We're going to start making this. Your background is you came here from Poland with your family. You were about 7 years old?
I was.
Wow. And there's a whole story there, and maybe one day you'll do a film on it. You should. You
People
really
have
should.
suggested it to me. It's just like, it's not that interesting. I always want to say we escaped from Poland, communist Poland. We had to crawl under barbed wire in the middle of the night as AK-47 bullets were zinging over our heads and German shepherds were barking in distance. No, we just got on a train for Vienna. We left.
Oh, got it.
Government permission.
We had a family member. We had a family member in Poland, and I remember in the 80s, my father helped or the 70s actually, helped to bring her to the United States. and she had been in a concentration camp and actually had a tattoo on her left arm. It was frightening, really, especially today. It's frightening. But if everybody eats together, I think we'd all get along, right?
No doubt.
No doubt. All right, we're going to start. I believe I've got milk here. I've got 12 ounces of milk. I'm going to put it into my big bowl. Is 12 ounces enough?
Yeah, it's a cup and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I've been doing this my entire life, so it's always by feel. So when I try to create the recipe, like, well, how much milk do I really am using?
Got it.
So just pouring it in, like, let's measure it this time. So 12 sounds right, like a cup and a half.
Got it. So I'm going to put in some vanilla right now. And I like vanilla. So we'll do a little bit more vanilla.
And as I always tell everyone, recipes are only suggestions. You have to start somewhere that gives you a sense of it, and then you can adjust. You can adjust it accordingly. Is it sweet enough? Is it too sour? Whatever. You just adjust it for your taste.
Carol, can you go get me the eggs? I need 3. I forgot the eggs. So I'm going to put in the baking powder. We'll have the recipe up on YouTube tomorrow, by the way. If you're watching, we'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to add a little salt. Now, it's funny. I don't cook with a lot of salt. I really don't. So I'm going to add just a tad. Probably not as much as you do.
Yeah, I just usually take a little pinch of salt.
Yeah, and that's what I've done. I'm waiting for the eggs. So thank you. Every week, I always forget something. All right, here we go. We're going to add the eggs. 1, 2, and 3. Marie Rose how do you pronounce that again? Yeah. Everybody's been teasing me about that all week long. What are you making? Now, I've got everything in here, but I want to stir this up before I add flour, correct?
Correct. You should just put the blender in there and whip it up.
All right.
Or in the mixer in there, I should say.
Yes. So. Look, Mom, I'm mixing. And
no,
people thought I didn't mix well with people. Okay.
No,
okay.
It's mix it up. It creates some foam. It is looking good. And you just
turn on.
Everything's blended.
We're turning on we have a pan behind us, and we have a stick of butter to melt. So we're going to melt that in the meantime. So I'm going to add just a little bit of the powder of the wheat. Of the flour at a time. This is Trader Joe's organic, by the way. I know you prefer a King Arthur, I believe.
King Arthur is a really good brand, but basically any kind of flour will do.
Got it.
Except whole wheat.
Yes.
Or buckwheat for that matter. Flour will too.
Well, if it was shot from cannons, it would be okay. All right, here we go. Now we're going to make this so that it's thick. I'm going to add some more.
Yep, just keep adding more, a bit at a time. And the ultimate goal is to have like a cake batter thickness to it.
Got it. This is fun. I don't bake a lot or use this a lot, but
No, you're doing really good.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry?
you're doing really good. Just add some more.
Oh.
Just adding.
How do you like the fact that you get to direct me and yell at me and tell me what I screw up?
I love
It,
it.
you know,
It you know, it,
it's it is thickening up.
yeah, it's one of those dishes where it's really difficult to screw it up. Anybody doing this dish, following the recipe, watching the video, the first time around, they'll do a really good job at it. And as they do it more, they'll refine the process for their own sensibilities and get even better at it.
And that's what we tell people. I want to, Carol, can you? Um, if you, what I wanted to say is that guys, if you're single, and maybe you're in your early 20s, maybe you're in your early 50s, and you're alone, cooking for somebody is really sexy. How do you think I got Carol? It isn't on my good looks. So. Now it's getting cakey and doughy like. I think just a little bit more.
Yeah, just a little bit more.
Okay. Oh, I'm just going to add.
That's good.
All right, let's add all that in. So, Jack, have you
Yes.
always been interested in food other than just eating it?
Yes, I think I have. I remember when I was 10 years old, the concept of like, you know what, I can make my own hot dogs at home. It's like, so I got hot dogs. My mother gave me a little frying pan. I melt a tiny bit of butter in it. I put the hot dog in, brown on all sides, put on a bun, ketchup. I had my first meal by myself.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Ketchup and a hot dog. We're going to have to talk about that sensibility.
Ketchup, mustard, all of it.
All of it. My first thing was a sandwich. My mother made me a sandwich, and it was ham on white bread with a little bit of mustard. And I opened up the sandwich. I added mayo and some sliced pickled chips.
Okay.
And I still make that sandwich. I was 5 years old when I did that.
Wow.
And she kept
So-
looking at me like I was nuts.
So, speaking of being 5 years old, whenever I visit my grandmother when I lived in Poland, my favorite sandwich was a water and sugar sandwich. So this is Polish bread. It's like rye bread. It's thick. You cut it thick. You splash some water in it, and you pour sugar on it. It's like sugar that's like very like large granules of sugar, not this fine sugar that we have in America, but a really thick granules. And you eat it with the bread and the water, and it was like another memory of my childhood.
Got it. Did your
It's-
grandmother come out with you?
No, she
Poland?
stayed in Poland. It was
She
one
stayed-
of those issues of it's difficult to transport old roots of a tree. That sort of.
Got it.
And
Well, I think this is done, and we're going to make the pancake now. Carol, can you bring me a large spoon from over there? There's a white spoon over there. Thank you. All right, we're going to go over here.
so, Mark,
Yes, sir.
the apples.
Oh,
I would suggest you turn the frying pan off while we.
yes. So I have sliced.
Turn the frying pan off while you're doing
Oh, all right. We can come here and look. I've sliced some apples up.
Excellent.
These are Granny Smith,
Perfect.
and just throw them in.
Yep, just throw them in. Granny Smith or Pippins are usually the best because they tend to be the most sour, and you want the sourness. Otherwise, if you have sweet apples with sugar or powdered sugar or whatever you want to put on top, it's just like too much sweetness. The sourness balances with the sugar that you put on later.
Got it. So I'm mixing this up, as you can see.
Perfect.
It's almost like this is almost like battering tempura or maybe
Yeah.
a fish.
Exactly. Like just get them all nicely covered, and you're ready to go.
There we go. Okay. I'm going to move this back over here. And I'm going to turn the butter on. Now, you cook with a lot of butter, don't you?
I cook with olive oil. I cook with butter. Both are great, depending what I'm cooking. Uh, Butter really helps things to get nicely browned and certainly adds flavor. And since it's saturated fat, it helps make things a little more crispy too. So I vote for butter.
Okay. Well, I'm going to... And these are not going to be light, fluffy pancakes. It's going to be kind of heavy.
These are hearty pancakes. These are, while you do this, I can talk about Polish food culture for a moment.
Sure.
Basically, there's this interesting thing in Polish food where it's dessert for dinner from an outside perspective, where the dinner is sweet. Typically, dinners in America are not sweet.
Right.
And so, as a result, sweetness is like reserved for breakfast. You know, the French toast, we have the pancakes, and so on. So, but in Polish culture, there's certain foods that people eat for dinner, which are sweet. Typically, during the summer, there's a whole slew of foods oriented around fruit that are sweet. Like, for instance, fruit soup. It's not served hot, it's served like room temperature, so it's like on the cooler side, but it's sweet and delicious. Pierogi. Everyone knows pierogi.
Oh, yes.
Tend to be on the savory side. Actually, they're always on the savory side. But in Poland, August, September, blueberry pierogi are like the big thing. And so it's like the recipe. You just put blueberries in it, cook it, and you have sweetness.
When I think of Polish food, one of the things I think about pork chops, one, and I also think about sauerkraut. Am I right about that, or is sauerkraut more German?
No, sauerkraut is part of Polish culture too. I mean, it's essentially cabbage. And just remember the whole region, the borders kept moving from Russia to Germany, and Poland got a lot of influences from both countries. So potatoes are huge, 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 huge. Like my aunt, she says, I do not know how to eat dinner without potatoes. It's so
Well, that
normal.
sounds like Carol.
So it's like a basic staple. Fortunately for Poland, it's not a pure meat and potato country, and therefore we have a lot of variety. In Middle Ages somewhere, some Polish king married an Italian princess, and she moved to Poland and brought the Italian cuisine to her. So there are things in Polish food that is like they're Italian. Like for instance, ravioli. There's a Polish ravioli. Noodles are big. Like even like tomatoes. So tomatoes in Italian are pomodoro. In Polish is pomidory. I mean, it's like almost exactly the same.
All you have to do is add an I.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And there's a whole like Poles are not into like really like raw vegetables, at least traditionally speaking. And basically, anything they refer to as vegetables, they call it włoszczyzna. Włoszczyzna. So in Polish, the word for Italy is Włochy. So włoszczyzna is those things that come from Italy, essentially vegetables. So those celery, onions, garlic, those kind of things that you use as a base for soups. They use it, but they refer to it as włoszczyzna. So they're honoring the country of the queen.
Got it. Well, we'll have to do something with sauerkraut, because that's one of my favorite things. And sauerkraut, real sauerkraut, is probiotic. A lot of the sauerkrauts that are in the market are not, because they add vinegar to it, and that kills the bugs, the probiotic.
Definitely the probiotic ones, the raw sauerkraut as
the raw sauerkrauts are delicious, and they're really good for you too. Cabbage is good for you. While we're letting this brown, and it looks like it's browning on one side.
It might be a good time just to peek underneath to see how it's browning. Just take and take a quick look. It's looking nice on top.
Yeah, it still needs some more. I'm going to turn the heat up just a bit.
Yeah, I would suggest put up the heat because as you can see, it's sort of like drying on the top, which is great because it creates better texture, better structure. So when you flip it, it becomes much easier.
And we're hoping that it'll flip. Let's talk about your passion or movies, film. You're a screenwriter.
Correct.
What genre do you write in?
I tend to write in the comedy realm, most recently in the romantic comedy realm, writing movies for the Hallmark Channel. And there was one made a few years ago called Valentine's Again, and actually has a second name to it. It's called Once Upon a Winter's Date. And basically the premise is imagine Groundhog Day on Valentine's Day. So our heroine, of course, is always a heroine. She wakes up, was cursed, and she wakes up one morning, and every time she wakes up, it's Valentine's Day. And she has to relive the day over again until she figures out her romantic challenges and learns the lessons of her eras.
And that's your film.
It's my.
That's terrific.
Yeah,
By the way,
it typically plays in February on Valentine's month, and it typically plays on the Hallmark Channel. But last year, it also plays on Amazon Prime.
Oh,
so
wow.
Keep an eye on it.
Well, I love romantic comedies. I don't like horror movies. My life is enough of a horror, so I don't need that. So I love romantic comedies because my life is a romantic comedy. That's how I view life. We're going to go back here and look at this. It's browning. I don't know if you can see this or not.
Take a look underneath. It may need flipping. I can just feel it by this.
I think it does. So I did it.
Yay.
Hey,
I did it.
that looks good. As I
look.
mentioned, recipe,
Yeah.
you can do a big one like this, or you can also do small little pancakey size type dishes, type pancakes. And obviously the little ones are much easier to flip, but the big one, it becomes like, oh, this is my meal for the day. So the little ones to cut, get one big one. It becomes really a personal preference.
Got it. And I know you prefer granulated sugar. Did we get the powder? No, we didn't. We didn't use powdered sugar. We're going to use Marie Rose mentioned to me that she uses coconut sugar on hers, and that has a lower glycemic index. So if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, you can use that as something that's a little bit better for you than sugar. We happen to have that. By the way, Jack and Marie Rose have a series of videos, and we'll have that in our description for you tomorrow by Kitchen Witch Productions. Kitchen Witch
Film. Kitchen Witch Film. Yeah, Marie Rose is the producer of this show, of my show.
Got it. She's your kitchen witch.
Kitchen witch. I don't know how she feel about that, but she's a good witch.
Yes. Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
There is a kitchen witch behind me there on the wall.
Oh, yes. Oh, I see that.
That was the inspiration for the title of the company. But this is a kitchen witch. Obviously, kitchen witches are in kitchens because it's like a good sign of good luck. And I should add, I'm feeling this now. It's a fine beverage, and highly recommend.
You're a lot further along than I am.
Drink and cook, but it's definitely good. But this very fine kitchen witch I purchased in Krakow, and it's like signed by the artist on behind. It's like I looked him up. It's like I can't find anything on him. It's like it's been a few decades since I bought it, but
wow.
Definitely adds flavor to the kitchen and keeps my food safe.
Got it. I understand. I don't have a kitchen witch. I have a kitchen honey. That's Carol, honey. A kitchen honey, and she follows around. And even while we're cooking and working very hard, Jack, you and I, Carol's behind the scenes, not only switching cameras, she's also cleaning up.
Excellent.
Okay.
Is she enjoying her cocktail too?
Yes.
Yes, she.
Ex-
Not as far along, or I don't know what would be on the air.
Yes,
could say that.
exactly. All right, here. Let me look underneath here.
Yeah, I think it should be
I think it's done.
done.
Okay. Come back here.
Oh, turn the burner off.
I did. I did. Look at that. Isn't that? Yeah, actually, Jack, I have to tell you, it looks like a fried pork chop.
It does look like fried pork chop.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's beautiful.
Okay. And I'm going to assume that this depends on putting on the sugar. This is organic coconut palm sugar from Organics. You can get this at Albertson, Safeway, Pavilions, and Bonds. Okay. And I'm going to sprinkle it on. Now, just a little bit more here. I can't wait.
Just say my only warning is
Yes.
that paste is hot. It is
Yes.
very hot. Almost since you just pulled it out of oil. So take a knife and fork, cut a piece. Highly recommend you blow on it and not bite into it because you will burn yourself.
Thank you. When we first started the show, I forgot about physics. And I ended up doing the hot mouth dance on camera. It wasn't fun. So I think this is good. I'm going to see if I can show you this. The inside is nice and moist. The outside is crispy. It's a little hot.
Yeah, and the chunks of apple will really work well. You'll see, like, they'll be hot, of course, but they're like partially cooked.
Oh. That's really good.
And people have this for dinner. Can you imagine? You know, it's really popular on children, of course, but adults have it. We make crepes that have like cheese in it with sugar in it, like a farmer's cheese or like a cream cheese with sugar. And so, like, again, dessert for dinner. You know, people imagine crepes. Well, crepe Suzette, that is a dessert. No, it can be made to be a dessert for dinner.
It can be made savory.
Yeah.
I've had crepes with shrimp and crab. This is really good. We got it. Wow.
And from just a nutritional point of view, I mean, it has, you know, obviously it has fat, has carbohydrates, it has protein in it from the eggs. So it's like a really good dish that, you know, if you want to use the term, has all the food groups in it. It does have that.
It
So
is
it's definitely
probably
nutritious.
not the
It's
healthiest thing. It is filling. I can see that it's going to be very filling. It's delicious. Excuse me, Jack.
I'm glad you like it.
No, I do.
But
This
it does
time
look
with a knife.
my only one comment. So in terms of sugars, this is more a visual aesthetic thing. So you basically put like brown sugar on a brownish pancake. If people use white sugar, it creates a contrast, becomes a different kind of visual experience.
I forgot that the coconut sugar is brown, but Carol's going to like this a lot. I'm trying to find a piece of apple. There's a piece of apple. All right, real quick.
Glad you like it.
No, and you can't fake that, folks. Listen, this is really easy. We made this in about 20, 25 minutes. Anybody can do this. Guys, I'm going to tell you something. Instead of sitting there ordering pizza again, switching from mushrooms to onion to garlic. Some people like pineapple on their pizza. Everybody has a right to their own opinion.
No friends of ours.
Yes. Try this. It's really a simple and easy recipe. And it's something that you can do with somebody. And if you made this for somebody, they really get a kick out of it. So if you're not a cook, you're not comfortable in the kitchen, this recipe will help make you comfortable. We forgot to do something, Jack. First, I know you're almost done. What is a Polish toast?
A Polish toast is very simple. Na zdrowie. Na zdrowie. Na zdrowie. It sounds very similar to the Russian one, and there's a lot of similarity between Polish language and Russian language. So, to your health, it translates.
To your health. And we say skol, l'chaim, bottoms up.
Bottoms up, definitely. And if I want to add one more little thing to what you're saying in terms of people cooking, you mentioned like people dating, learning those skills. To have a date in the kitchen cooking with you, it can be a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely.
Put her to work.
I cook a lot together.
You put her to work with those apples.
Yes, this is, I really, I wasn't sure. I look at a recipe and already start changing it. This is one of the first that I didn't make any changes at all. This is great. All right, we have just a couple of minutes left. Howard Sandler says cheers. Thank you, Howard. Appreciate your watching. Just have to ask, I know what I was going to ask. The drink is going to my head. What are 3 items in your kitchen you cannot possibly live without? I'll give you an example. Last week we heard a garlic press. What was the other thing, Carol? Do you remember? I don't either. One was a garlic press. He had a special garlic press. Couldn't be without it. You're up, Jack.
My 3 things I can't live without is obviously knives. Knives are super important. You can have like traditional German style knives, like Wusshofs, or you can style Japanese style knives. They work great. They work for different things. So knives are extremely important. In terms of garlic presses, I can cut up my own garlic. They have a different texture versus a press. A juicer. I just happen to have one here, like a hand juicer. These are really handy for juicing a lemon very quickly. There you go. Great minds think alike.
Think alike.
And the last thing is, I would imagine one of my frying pans I'm really a big fan of. Let me just pull it out. So it'll take 2 seconds.
While he's doing that, I'm going to stick another bite.
This is a all-clad stainless steel pan, burnished aluminum. At one point it was burnished aluminum. It's nicely black decorated. I call it a nice black texture. But this is the most wonderful piece of technology. So I think it's like a 12-incher that I bought like 20 some years ago. And maybe even 30 years ago. But it's really good. It was like, I bought it before they were really popular. So it was like, cost me like $35. I mean, this is like $200 nowadays, I believe.
Oh yeah, easily.
But it's just heats up beautifully. I can cook anything in it. I just love it for every kind of purpose.
Well, Jack, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your recipe. We really appreciate that. And we thank you for watching at home. If you're watching at home, and you're on the repeat, you can still make comments, and we would appreciate that. Jack, will you come back? Did you have fun?
Absolutely. I had a lot of fun. We can make other things. If you want to focus on Polish, focus on Italian, if you want to focus on easy dishes versus difficult dishes, whatever level of skill set you want to train people on, I can certainly help.
All right. We're going to do something Polish New Year. That comes up in March. No, that was very bad. That was very bad. But we'll have you back in the first of the year, and we'll do something, maybe a traditional New Year's style dish.
Okay.
I think that would be great. I'd like to thank Marie Rose for putting this all together. And Carol, as always, thank you. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hold on, Jack.